Hello again. I wanted to start by thanking you. You have been so very kind and watched me read these fairy tales. I really appreciate it. And I wanted you to know that. I also wanted to thank some of my more frequent commenters Joanne, Kate, Ed. It means the world to hear from you, and you make me smile. The robber bridegroom was a little dark, so this time I looked for a nice title. It's another one I'm unfamiliar with, so we can discover it together. It's called The 12 Brothers. That is a lot of brothers. I wonder if it's like the dancing princesses. I will read that one too, but not today. Shall we begin? Oh, I am so excited. Once upon a time. Oh, another once upon a time. Oh, how wonderful. Although that didn't work out so well last time. Maybe this one will be different. Once upon a time, a king and a queen lived together peacefully and had 12 children, all boys. Oh, that poor woman. One day, the king said to his wife, "When you give birth to our 13th child, and it's a girl, the 12 boys shall die, so she may have all the wealth and the kingdom for herself." Wow, that took a dark turn right out of the gate. I was not expecting that. Perhaps it's a really short story? He even had 12 coffins made and filled with wood shavings. Each was fitted with a death pillow, and the coffins were locked in a room. Well, at least he was prepared. The king gave the key to the queen and ordered her never to say one word about this to anyone. She sat and lamented the entire day. No doubt. Her youngest son, Benjamin, was always with her, and he asked her, "Dear mother, why are you so sad?" "Dearest child," she replied, "I'm not allowed to tell you." But he gave her no peace until she opened the room and showed him the 12 coffins, already filled with wood shavings. She then said, "My dearest Benjamin, your father had these coffins made for you and your 11 brothers. If I give birth to a girl, all of you shall be killed and buried in them." Not a really good way to engender brotherly love. As she was telling him this, she wept, and her son consoled her by saying, "Don't weep, dear mother. We'll find a way to help ourselves and get away from here." Then she said, "Go into the forest with your 11 brothers." Are they trying to teach me to count? Who talks this way? "I want you to find the tallest tree and take turns sitting on top." Not very comfortable. "You are to keep watch and look towards the castle tower. If I give birth to a little boy, I'll raise a white flag, and then you'll be able to return." Really, why would they want to return? Their father is planning on killing them all. Hmm. "If I give birth to a little girl, I'll raise a red flag, and then you're to flee as fast as you can." Is she even pregnant? They haven't mentioned it. How long do they have to stay in the forest? This plan does not seem very well thought out. After she gave her blessings to her sons, they went out into the forest, where they took turns keeping watch. Each one sat on top of the tallest oak tree and looked towards the tower. When 11 days had passed, it was Benjamin's turn. He saw a flag being raised. However, it was not a white one, but a blood red flag, announcing that they were to die. When the brothers heard that, they became angry and said, "Why should we suffer death because of a girl? We swear we'll get our vengeance." "Good. Go and give your father what for. Wherever we find a girl, her red blood shall flow." Wait, what? Do I have the wrong book? Then they went deeper into the forest, where it was darkest. There they found an empty little cottage, which was bewitched. Did it have a sign saying "Bewitched Cottage for sale"? "We shall dwell here," they said, "and you, Benjamin, since you're the youngest and the weakest, shall stay home and keep house." Rude. We others shall go out and search for food. So they went off into the forest and shot hares, wild deer, birds, little pigeons. Those are also birds. And whatever was fit to eat. Where they shot berries and fish. Huh. Maybe the king had the right idea. They brought this to Benjamin, who had to prepare it nicely for them so they could still their hunger. They lived together for 10 years in this little cottage, and time passed quickly for them. Well, for them, sure. They were out hunting berries. Poor Benjamin was probably ticking off the days on a wall. Meanwhile, the daughter that the mother, the queen. Why do they need to keep introducing us to these people? It's only been a couple of paragraphs. It's not like we forgot. Who had brought into the world. Oh, huh. That seemed like a weird sentence, but then I remember. Meanwhile, the daughter that their mother, the queen, had brought into the world, see, it all works that way, had grown to be a little girl, older than Snow White, too, so, She had a kind heart and a beautiful features and a gold star on her forehead. What an odd thing to have. Is she related to a star-bellied sneetch? One time, when there was a great deal of washing to do, she saw 12 boys' shirts amongst the things to be washed, and asked her mother, "Whose shirts are these? They're much too small for father." And and why do they each only have one shirt? And why are you washing them when they've been gone for 10 years? And why is a princess doing the laundry? Oh, I have so many questions. Her mother answered her with a heavy heart. "Dear child, they belong to your 12 brothers." "Where are my 12 brothers?" the girl asked. "I've never heard of them until now." "Only God knows where they are," she answered. "They're wandering around somewhere in the world." She took the girl, opened the room, and showed her the 12 coffins with the wood shavings and the death pillows. Why do they still own them? It's been 10 years! Do they have someone who goes in and dusts them occasionally? "These coffins were designed for your brothers," she said, "but the boys departed secretly before you were born." And she read the girl the beginning of the story. All right. "Dear mother," the girl said, "don't weep. I'm going to look for my brothers." So she took the 12 shirts, which are 10 years out of date, and went straight into the forest. She walked the whole day, and by evening came to the bewitched cottage. Maybe it's a tourist thing. Come to our kingdom and see the bewitched cottage. When she entered, doesn't anyone knock in fairy tales? She found a young boy who asked, a young boy who, wait, wait, wait. Before we get into the question of this part of the story, I want to do some math. It has been 10 years since the girl was born, and Benjamin was talking to his mother when she was pregnant. For him to still be a young boy now, he would have had to have been no older than 3 years old when they left the kingdom, making him 13 now. So they made the 3-year-old climb the tallest tree to keep watch and then left him alone in the enchanted cottage to cook and clean for them? Seriously? This story is very upsetting. Right now, back to his question. Where have you come from? Right, and where are you going? Cotton Eye Joe, where have you come from? Where you go? Cotton. Never mind. He was back. He was astonished by her beauty, her royal garments, and the star on her forehead. "I'm a princess," she responded, "who apparently doesn't get a name. And I'm looking for my 12 brothers. I'm prepared to continue walking as far as the sky is blue until I find them." She showed him the 12 shirts, and Benjamin realized she was his sister. "I'm Benjamin," he said, clearly the only character in the entire story worthy of a name. "Your youngest brother." Yeah, that works. She began to cry for joy, and they kissed lovingly and hugged each other. And then he said, "Dear sister, there's still a problem. We agreed that any maiden who came our way would have to die, for we had to leave our kingdom on account of a girl." First, that's just stupid. Second, you were 3 when you agreed to this nonsense. And third, it's really, really stupid. I'll gladly die, she said, if I can save my 12 brothers by doing this. I see intelligence runs in the family. I need to learn to roll my eyes. Yeah, it doesn't work. No, he responded, you shall not die. Sit down under this tub and wait till our 12 brothers come back. Then I'll settle everything with them. She did as he said, and when it was night, the others came back from the hunt and found their meal ready. After they sat down at the table and began eating, they asked, what's new? You don't know? Benjamin said. No, they replied. You're in the forest the whole day, he continued, while I stay at home, and yet I still know more than you? Then tell us, they cried out. Only if you promise me that the first girl we meet shall not be killed, he said. Yes, they all exclaimed. Now tell us. That was fast. Well, it's been 10 years. Maybe they figured out it was a stupid vow. Our sister is here, he said, and he lifted up the tub in a Herculean show of strength, and the princess came crawling out in her royal garments. She had the gold star on her forehead and was very beautiful, gentle, and delicate. In their joy, they embraced and kissed her, for they loved her with all their hearts. Less than an hour ago, they were planning to kill her. This story turned so quickly that I think I'm going to get whiplash. Now she stayed at home with Benjamin. What about your poor mother? Now she's lost all 13 children. And helped him with the work. They fetched the wood for cooking, herbs to go along with the vegetables, and put pots on the fire so dinner was always ready when the 11 brothers came home. Moreover, they kept the little cottage in order and put nice, clean white sheets on the little beds. All this they kept the brothers satisfied and lived with her in great harmony. Where'd they get the white sheets? Is there like a Bed Bath and Beyond in this forest? I really don't know how I feel about this story. I mean, I wonder which direction it's going to go in next. One day, the two at home had prepared a wonderful meal, and when they were all together, they sat down, ate, drank, and were full of joy. Now there was a small garden next to the bewitched cottage, and in it were 12 lilies, also called students. Since she wanted to please her brothers, the sister plucked the 12 flowers with the intention of giving one to each brother at the end of the meal. But right after she had plucked the flowers, the 12 brothers were instantly changed into 12 ravens and flew away over the forest, while the cottage and the garden vanished as well. Now the maiden was all alone in the wild forest, and she looked around. An old woman was standing near her, and the old woman said, my child, what have you done? Why didn't you leave those 12 white flowers alone? They were your brothers, and you've changed them into ravens forever. What the Sorry, what just happened? Is there no way to save them? The maiden asked as she wept. Good question. Also, who are you? How do you know about this? Why not post a sign? And most importantly, what the heck is going on? No, the old woman said. That is, there's only one way in the entire world, but it's so hard you won't be able to free them. I see. So you said no, meaning yes. You see, you would have to remain silent for 7 years, and neither speak nor laugh. If you utter but a single word, and there is just an hour to go in the 7 years, everything will be in vain, and your brothers will be killed by that one word. Harsh. I know for sure, the maiden spoke with her whole heart, that I shall save my brothers. Well, that's 10 words, so goodbye to 10 brothers. She went and searched for a tall tree. After climbing it, she sat down and began spinning. Turning in a circle or making thread? If it's making thread, where are the materials coming from? And why did she need to climb a tree? I need more information here. And did not say a word or laugh. Now, it so happened that a king was hunting in the forest. This is a very popular forest. He had a big greyhound that ran up to the tree where the maiden was sitting. The dog began jumping around, yelping and barking at her. The king went over to the tree and saw the beautiful, and I might add 10-year-old, princess with the gold star on her forehead. He was so enraptured by her beauty that he called up to her and asked her if she would be his wife. Hey, little random girl sitting in the tree, come down so I can marry you. Yep, grim tales are weird. She did not respond, but nodded a little with her head. Then he climbed up the tree himself, carried her down, put her on his horse, and took her home. She's 10! 10! What the? I mean, I guess at least she's older than Snow White, because, Snow White was 7 and she 10. The wedding was celebrated with great splendor and joy, but the bride did not speak or laugh. And everybody was okay with this? After they lived together for a few years, the king's mother, who was an evil woman, began to slander the young queen and said to the king, "The maiden you brought home with you is nothing but a common beggar girl. Who knows what godless mischief she's been secretly plotting? If she's mute and can't talk, she could at least laugh every now and then." Really? Could she? To Google I go. Share.com sharecare.com says, "Can you laugh with no voice? Yes, silent laughter is a form of laughing yoga and may have some benefits such as reducing stress and promoting a positive mood. Silent laughter is essentially a deep belly laugh without using your vocal cords." Well, that settles that. The evil woman has a point. I guess. Anyone who doesn't laugh must have a bad conscience. Oh, now that I will argue with. Depression and anxiety and other mental health issues are very serious, and that sort of nonsense doesn't help anyone. If you are suffering from depression or other issues, please reach out. There are people who love you and trained professionals who can help you. No, you matter more than you can possibly imagine. You are perfect just being you. You matter to me. I love you. And this world is a better place with you in it. All right, I will step off my soapbox and go back to the fairy tale. Wait. Now I can't see the book. All right, getting back on my soapbox. Here we go. All right, that's better. And at first, the king did not want to believe this, but the old woman kept at it so long and accused the maiden of so many wicked things that the king finally let himself be convinced and sentenced her to death. First, he marries a random 10-year-old in a tree, and then he's surprised he doesn't know anything about her. And then he decides to kill her because his mom doesn't like her? Good Lord. I'm beginning to think Nightmare on Elm Street is a fairy tale. A huge fire was made in the courtyard, and the young queen was to be burned in it. Hey, kids, gather round. I'm going to tell you the story about the 17-year-old burned at the stake because she wouldn't answer questions. Remember this when you become a teenager. The king stood upstairs at a window and watched everything with tears in his eyes, since he still loved her. If I could roll my eyes, they would be rolling so hard right now I would hurt myself. When she was already bound to the stake, and the fire was licking her clothes with its red tongues. Now there's an image. The last second of the 7 years expired. Suddenly, a whirring noise could be heard in the air, and 12 ravens came flying toward the yard and swooped down. And we're back to Hitchcock movies. Then, just as they touched the ground, they turned into her 12 brothers whom she had saved. They tore about the fire and put out the flames, freed their dear sister, and hugged and kissed her. Now that she was allowed to open her mouth and talk, she told the king why she had been silent and had never laughed. The king was glad to hear she was innocent. Putz. And they all lived together in harmony until death. Seriously? The evil mother was brought before the court and put into a barrel that was filled with boiling oil and poisonous snakes. Oh, poor snakes, what did they do? Indeed, she died a horrible death. What about the old kingdom? And their mother? Why does she have a star on her head? Who was the lady in the woods? And where did the enchanted cottage go? And why did the flowers turn the boys into birds? And why is Benjamin the only person in the whole story to get a name? This story makes no sense. It's awful and mean spirited and soul crushing. And is there a musical about this one too? Why do we even read fairy tales? Ah! I should go back to the alphabet. Well, I guess, like, share, comment, subscribe. Click that little bell icon so you can be the first of your friends to watch and then inflict this on them. Also, welcome Marina to people who comment. Some of our favorite people are people who comment. Hi, Kate and Joanne and Ed. I love you all. Until next week when we have a request for the children who played at butchering. Save me.